to you by Black's Tire Inc.
What's up, everyone? It's the Morgan Thomas Show. I'm your host and producer, Morgan Thomas, and we are excited to have you back. This is another episode of the Morgan Thomas Show. I think around episode, somewhere around 74, 75. I'm not sure exactly, but I'm excited to have everyone back. You know, we took a couple of weeks off and break and had a few fans comment and say, hey, where you guys at? Where you been? And decided to take a little break, not just because not any sports going on, but really I need a little break for myself. We've been going, this is now over a year and a half of the show, and with, you know, all the things going on, it's been kind of tough to talk about sports, and I don't want to come on and talk about, you know, all the negative things that are out there, because believe me, there are a lot, and Alan and I discuss those things off air a lot of times, but I didn't want to do that for the live show, and so, you know, took a little break, but I did have a couple of fans say, hey, you guys got to get in here and talk some more because I miss you. And we appreciate that love and support over on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitter, wherever you check us out, even on podcast or on our website, southlandclub.com. Thank you so much for the love and support as always. I know not a lot to talk about as far as Clemson football, but we got a couple of things that we wanted to touch on. But before we get into anything really specifically, I wanted to welcome back our two co-hosts that we have on, mainly Big Al, Alan Adams, as you know him. Al, welcome.
Man, it's been a bit of a little dry spell we've had here. You know, not a lot to talk about, as you mentioned. You know, we talk about some of the nonsense that goes on off air, but we don't want to bring that stuff to this show. This show's too good for that kind of stuff. So we want to talk about the few things that are relevant to Clemson right now. We've got a couple things to talk about today, and a little bit of Braves baseball action. So that's kind of cool. We got a game ongoing right now. It's good to be back, man.
Yeah, good to listen to and watch the Braves. Sometimes watch it on bootleg. I won't say who did that, but you know, if Fox Sports South is not available on YouTube TV, you got to do what you got to do, right? We got Houston Burnett as well at the bottom of the screen. Welcome, Houston.
Hey, I'm so glad to be back. Went down to Florida this past week. Got a nice sea breeze, sunburn. Social distance, we just ordered in and just sat on the beach and in the condo the whole time, and I was completely okay with it. So now I'm back in the saddle. I'm ready to talk sports, ready to talk the Braves, no matter how good or bad they're doing. So I'm super excited.
Yeah, excited about that. Again, we're going to be talking some Braves, so if you're not a Braves fan, I don't care. But we are Braves fans here. Been Braves fans since, as far as I remember, way before Chipper Jones was even on the team. That's for sure. So we're going to talk some Braves. Hey, at least it's some sports. At least it's some baseball. And then, because really we got robbed of college baseball. Let's look. Can we all admit that we got robbed of college baseball? So now the fact that we finally have baseball now, I haven't been robbed of sports because, as I've told you guys many times, WWE's been rolling, baby. So you guys just need to get on the bandwagon with WWE. That's the big problem that you guys have. But again, and AEW. Now AEW on TNT, a lot better. In my opinion, a lot better. But so get on that. But then Formula One started back a couple of weeks ago. Been watching some Formula One racing. And then Alan, I know, you're not so much anymore, but NASCAR's back. I saw not only NASCAR's back, but it looks like they got like Fast and the Furious neon lights under the car now. What's up with that?
Yeah, somebody, goodness gracious. I just had a guy tell me what that was. A friend of mine, Xander, told me what that was. I turned on the TV and I was like, what are these lights?
Something to do with
doing
the
back on these
game.
cars? Oh, I think it's the car. I think it's the car make. I think they have a certain color depending on what the make of the car is. So I haven't watched a lot of NASCAR, but I did catch a few laps when I went to Lake Lure for a couple days not too long ago. So that was kind of cool. Morgan, I got to ask you a question. So we're talking NASCAR, okay? They use a lot of tires going on in those races. All right. So you got something you want to tell everybody about here?
Well, before I get into that, I wanted to tell you the rundown too. We got the Braves. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about some things going on with the Marlins. You know, they're in the Braves division. Some bad things happened this morning. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about some things that Texas, or the University of Texas, is going to do with regards to seeding and college football coming up in this season. And then we might cap it off if we have some time. Some disappointing news from Clemson basketball. Kevon Moore is entered the transfer portal. We might mention that too, because we're a Clemson show first and foremost, so we might mention that as well. But again, like Alan said, let me pull up the full screen for you so you can see it. Black's Tire Inc. is our main and primary show sponsor. Been with us since day one. That's www.blackstireinc.net. 864-647-9292. You see it there on the screen. Black's Tire Inc. is in Westminster, South Carolina. Family owned and operated since 1971. If you need new tires, brakes, alignment, tire repair, or just looking for a friendly professional to help answer your questions, check out Black's Tire Inc., located 1415 East Main Street, Westminster, South Carolina. Give them a call. Again, 864-647-9292. Hooked me up many times. Hole in my tire, hooked me up. I believe twice. Hole in my tire, hooked me up. Brakes, hooked me up with my Jeep. Needed some brakes on it, hooked me up there. And then I needed 4 tires on my Honda Accord, also hooked me up. So appreciate that. You go past the stadium into Seneca, and then go past Seneca into Westminster. It's right there on the right as you get into the town. Alan has also used them as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. They did good work for me. I appreciate those guys, and obviously want to thank them for their support since the very beginning. Morgan, we got a pretty good group over here on Facebook. I don't know what you're looking at over there on YouTube, but we got Kevron Harrison with us as usual. I saw Philip Stedman was with us as well. Houston, burn it. It's so nice of you to get in with us, Houston. We appreciate that. Jason Priester, Jason Richards, Gene Cranford, Billy Sigmund, Mark Palmer, Marty McKee, Mom is in us as well, Bill Lanham. So we've got a pretty good group up here on Facebook. They're a little chatty too, by the way. They're kind of making fun of us. Am I still alive? And Bill's making fun of us for a quote unquote weekly show. So the chat line over here, the comment section is alive and well on Facebook.
Yeah, we've got some action over on YouTube as well. Not as many people over on YouTube. I know it's kind of slow. You know, we're all kind of biding our time until college football starts back. A little bit of trash talk in here. Some people already getting in from the Tar Heel Nation over here talking about that Peyton Page is a lock for North Carolina. We'll figure that out tomorrow. I believe tomorrow afternoon, if I'm not mistaken. We'll figure that out. We'll see. Now, I'll be honest with you. Now, this is AJS. I'll be honest with you, AJS. I mean, as Clemson fans, we've got to come to terms that haven't really had that good of recruiting. Haven't really had that good of recruiting news come out of Tigertown recently. So, I don't think, as Houston said last time we talked, nothing to panic about. It is unfortunate, especially when you lose somebody to Ohio State, because those fans are, they are bad.
The best.
They're bad.
They're the best.
Ohio State fans don't like Clemson fans. I don't know where this came from. I think it came from never beating the Clemson Tigers. But I can understand that. That's why Oklahoma fans don't seem to like Clemson very much. Notre Dame fans don't seem to like Clemson very much. South Carolina fans don't seem to like Clemson very much. We're a very likable school if you just give us a chance.
Yeah.
So, and I say us because I graduated. So Houston's just graduated. Allen graduated. So we can say us in the sense of, you would like us if you tried us. Just spend a little time on campus. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, Clemson Carson says it's because of the 31-0. Let's not forget that. But I know they got a lot of things to say. I think that are incorrect about the Jordan Hancock situation. Let's be honest. My personal opinion about that situation is that he left because situations changed with his mother. He was going to stay closer because she was battling cancer. She has seemed to be in remission and been battling that and actually doing better now. And he wanted to go to the school that he originally kind of felt like he was the front runner from the beginning, really. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I don't know why it flipped. Who knows why an 18-year-old flips? It happens a good bit. It doesn't happen to Clemson a lot, which we've mentioned before, and unfortunately it's happened twice in this particular class. So we've had a little bit of a downturn in our recruiting, like you mentioned before. But hey, I hate to tell all this to you North Carolina fans over there on YouTube. That changes tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'll go in and I'll put in a shameless plug to go read my article on southlandclub.com. RELAX. Relax. Clemson fans, it's gonna be all right. We're gonna be all of us Clemson fans are gonna be good. Changes tomorrow. I still think we have a chance with Corey Foreman, to be honest with you. I think the one thing that's helped us out in this entire time frame with the unfortunate pandemic happening is he hasn't been able to visit anybody. And, there may be still an opportunity with us as a front runner with Corey Foreman, Peyton Page, and you still have several others that are out there that we're going to be all right with.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't think Clemson is out on Foreman at all. It's still, they've already signed 2 defensive ends that we've kind of already talked about. That was their 2 they needed to replace going into that 2021 season. But, so we'll see. But I wanted to talk about another sponsor as well, one we don't get in as much, but we do have open phone lines right now, our call-in hotline. Similar to a call-in hotline that you'd have on the radio, if you've ever called into the radio or maybe into a Paul Feinbaum show, call-in hotline, 864-772-6674. Actually, I have 5 open hotlines for you to get in. So 5 lines there for you. You can, once you get on hold, it pops up a little number for me. And, as a courtesy, we like to get you on the show. So if there's something you want to talk about, AJS, you want to talk about the Tar Heels? We can talk about the Tar Heels. Get on the show. You can be on live, 864-772-6674. And you can see, man, the best visit Charleston Sports Pub there. That is the man, TB, number 10, baby. Right there. You can see him enjoying some Charleston Sports Pub. We have been to Charleston Sports Pub as well. We appreciate them in Charleston, also in Greenville, and they got a couple places down on the coast as well if you want to go check them out. So we appreciate them, again, sponsoring our hotline. But again, you can call in, 864-772-6674. Be part of the show. Don't just be a listener. Talk and join us for sure. But talking about the Braves, I was gonna look over. I was gonna peek a little bit. I'm peeking right now, guys. It looks like we're in the bottom of the 6th, 2 outs, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Touki Toussaint's on the mound, and Atlanta is down 10-5. Okay, and Tampa Bay is threatening right now with runner on second and runner on third. And I might be a little bit behind because I'm on my.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they're not threatening anymore. They just got a single. It's now 12-5.
Oh, well, thank you for that, Al. Thank you for that update. And there's the single. So I'm a little bit behind. Yep. So it looks like it's going to be a tough night for the Atlanta Braves. They started off winning the series against the New York Mets, so that was a good sign. Had some good pitching from Soroka, even though he didn't get the win. Had some good pitching from Newcomb, decent pitching from Newcomb. And Max Fried, good pitching as well. Mm-hmm. But, Dansby Swanson's been doing good. Marcell Ozuna's been doing good, which is a guy I've always liked. Marcell, really liked him as a baseball player. Some problems, though. We're seeing Acuna Jr. batting a 133 with 8 total strikeouts. I mean, he almost has 30% of the strikeouts for the team right now. That's not what you really want from one of your top, your top of the lineup there. Then following up is the strong line of Ozzie Albies, who is barely got over 200 right now. What are you guys thinking about this? I mean, is this something that, Acuna is a guy who we don't expect to be in some kind of slump, and it seems like he is in one.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal when when your all-star goes in a slump. It happens. I think he'll get out of it. I'm not ultimately worried about it, but it's the whole team is struggling. I mean, I was watching a little bit of the game. Sorry if I look over this way. I'm watching the game. It's over here. I'm just trying to check in and see. Look, these Braves never say die. Okay, I mean they make you get all 27 outs. I never count them out of a game, so it's something I've learned not to do, especially last season. They really started a lot of comebacks, a lot of late comebacks. But it's been fun to watch, and I think he's going to do fine, but they've just struck out so many times. When I started watching today, there had been 12 outs according to the game. 9 of them were strikeouts. It's a strikeout fest. It's crazy to watch, and it's unfortunate. But at the same time, when you got a lot of strikeouts, what that usually means is you have a lot of power hitters, and we've got a bunch of guys that can go yard and keep us in games.
Yeah, I agree. Repeating what Alan said, if you see me looking up, I have my TV above where my camera is in my office, so I'm glancing up at the game. I guess the pros of it is there's some players that you go, oh, well, I'm glad that you're seeing them progress. Like Dansby Swanson, he had such a hot start last year and then just fell off into a crater at the end of the year. See him getting back onto a good start this year. Andrew Inciarte had a very good defensive start, had a couple of clutch bats. Marcell Ozuna's had a pretty decent start as well. But it's the top 3, Acuna, Albies, and Freeman, really struggling to play thus far. It's really troubling. like I said, I believe what Alan said too. Acuna will ultimately get out of it, but when you have such a short season, 60 games, really crucial that you need to at least get some momentum because when you lose a game, you're not just losing a game; you're essentially losing like three most, and you really have to value your at bats. The other part of it that's really troubling watching this game, Mike Foltynewicz, he's not got it, or at least from last year, he's throwing a lot of garbage pitches. He's not hitting his spots. And I hope it picks up from here. I know the Rays are a very, very good team, but he consistently does this against the Nats, the Marlins, and the Phillies. I don't know if that's going to be something that you'd be able to keep him in the rotation for very long.
Yeah, and you guys are gonna have to keep me since you guys have it up. I'm gonna close mine out. I got all this stuff running. My computer's over here like spinning like it's about to take off and join SpaceX next. So I'm gonna let the fans cool off and turn off the live feed of the show. A bootleg version of the live feed, like I said, so I can't really, I don't know how stable it is on the computer. Maybe I contracted a virus watching this baseball, but hey, it is what it is. I need baseball that bad. I gotta watch it, but I'll let you guys keep us updated, even though it doesn't sound too good right now for the Atlanta Braves. Some things I want to talk about with the Braves, though, is what do you think about and this came into play, I believe, last night. So what do you think about the runner on second? Starting when you talk about extra innings, I actually like it because I feel like baseball is kind of a slower game, anyways. I'm not going to say the B word. It is not the B word because only it's the B word if you don't really understand the sport. And Alan, you and I have played on many teams together. It is a chess match in many ways between the pitcher and the batter, right? So, and then also some movements in the field and stuff like that, and then base running as well. There's a lot of games within the game, if you will. Give that to me. But runner on second kind of speeds it up. Once you've gotten past 9 innings, it's a stalemate. Runner on second does speed it up. I think they confirmed that it is an unearned run if that is scored, and it's an uninherited base runner as well. So it doesn't negatively affect the pitcher that goes into that inning. So that's a good thing as far as you baseball like statistic nerds out there. But what do you think as far as gameplay and pace and just the idea of it?
Well, I got to tell you, I think a lot of the fans are going to like it. I think they're going to love this. I think it's going to speed up the games. It's always exciting when you have somebody lead off an extra inning with a double. Okay, so now you've got that automatically. So it's gonna provide some excitement. It's going to speed everything up. I tend to shy away from this. I'm more of a guy who thinks you should really hold on to the purity of the game, as America's pastime, and I would prefer not to have this, and I understand everybody's argument for it. Hey, if the fans love it and it brings more fans to the sport, great. I'm all for it because I want this sport to thrive. Like I said, it's been so much a part of my life, watching the Braves. I want people to watch. Baseball's lost a lot of fans over the years, and if this is going to bring something back, sign me up.
I love it. I love this. I love the universal DH. It's great. I love the expanded playoff field. I love it all. They've done a lot of great stuff. I love it all. It's been great. Maybe it's just the fact that it's a shortened season. It's made it almost like college baseball with aluminum bats a little bit. You're hanging on every at bat, especially in extra innings. You have a man in scoring position. You have an extra pop in your lineup with a DH. And then, even as Brad as the Braves are playing, they still got a shot to make the playoffs and maybe make some noise with a 16-team playoff field. I love it all. It's been great. I love all of this. I think it's been the best decision, at the very least. Keep the DHs and keep the man on second. It's great. I love it all.
Yeah, personally myself, I like it. I think it adds a little bit of, speeds it up a little bit. It adds some excitement, and it puts more pressure on that pitcher who comes into that inning for sure, because they've got to decide what they're going to do. They're not going to be able to go into a full motion pitch. They're going to have to kind of be in a shortened stance and always be looking behind their shoulder. And then, you might get, if you're playing against the Astros, you got to worry if people are cheating. Or, we talked about like quieter stands. Now, what do you think about the fact that they're piping in like video game noises? I think it's kind of cool. I wish they would actually turn it up a little bit, because I think that sometimes, man, you get that runner out and get a runner out on third, it's a little bit of a delay. Like, there's the crowd fake noise, right? I want to hear it loud. I want to hear it pipe through the television broadcast, really. That's kind of what WWE has done in the past, is when the stadiums that they go to in certain towns aren't as packed as they would like, they kind of pipe in a little bit of background noise to help with the ambiance, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, look, hey, if you've watched this show once, I've said it 100 times, okay? It's all about crowd noise for me. It's one of my favorite things about Clemson football. It's one of my favorite things about sports in general. I love seeing the crowd get into the games and react when the big plays are made. In baseball, it's usually the closer coming in the ninth, and striking out that last guy. It's fantastic. I used to love to watch that with Kimbrel when he pitched for the Braves. It happened so often with him. He was so good at what he did. But, yeah, I'm all for the crowd noise. If they want to pipe some in, I'm all for, making it louder. Look, some people aren't going to like it, but hey, I think it adds a little something. It's really boring, to not hear any cheering. That's just, and it's brutal. So if you got to fake it a little bit, go for it.
Yeah, and I would say on my end, I don't hate it, but at the same time, the interesting part about watching like baseball and what's the bubble with basketball and MLS, it kind of reminds me of, this is like a professional intramural league. Like if you're with your buddies or whoever, and you're with your teammates for an extended amount of time, and it's almost like you're accomplishing this goal together in this weird circumstance. So it's almost like you get a more raw and unfiltered version of their celebrations and their winning this. But at the same time, I do miss crowds, and so I understand the crowd noise, but it's just a unique perspective when you're able just to hear the game and what's said, and everything that's said about the players. It's really crazy.
Yeah, I watched that the basketball tournament, and they didn't have a lot of fans, but I did like that they used some graphics and some banners where the stands would be, so you couldn't see empty seats. I don't necessarily like seeing a ton of empty seats. I wish that baseball would have maybe covered up a lot of those with some, sponsor graphics or whatever it may be. I like that setup they had in Vegas, where it was, looked like everything was it wasn't Vegas. I think it was like I'm said Vegas because that's where they normally are, but I think they were somewhere in Ohio, right? But they kind of had it set up to where you couldn't see any stands, but it had a bunch of really giant, cool graphics. Hey, think about it this way. Clemson. Can you imagine watching a game kind of panning out and the hill be one giant tiger paw graphic or something else, like some sort of really cool graphic? Because the Tigers, that they can do a really cool, you've seen their social media. They can do a really cool graphic. So that would be cool for me. Another thing I want to talk about, going back to baseball, though, is the universal DH. Now, this is another one that, Alan, Houston, I know we are diehard National Leaguer. We're National League guys. This, we over the 33 years plus, we have been watching guys like Greg Maddux go to the plate. Okay, I get it. Our children need to suffer through it as well, but maybe they don't. Maybe there is a better way. maybe we do allow the DH for the National League as well. Maybe this is a good idea. I actually don't mind seeing an extra hitter out there.
Well, hey, all you got to do is refer to my first response and know where I'm going with this. No, I don't like it one bit. I think if they're on the field, they ought to be playing. It's just like I think, if a punter's on the field, he ought to be able to get hit. And it's the same way. It's purity of the game. If you're out there, you ought to be able to play. And I think they should be able to hit. I think it adds an interesting wrinkle of strategy into the game when you have to account for the pitcher being an almost automatic out. And, man, to see a pitcher, somebody that basically swings and misses by a foot on every pitch, to connect with one and hit it out of the park, man, that's a really cool deal. So, yeah, I'm not for the DH, but at the same time, I get it. I understand why people like it. And, again, if it brings fans, go for it.
There's like one pitcher a year that can do that, Al.
That's right. That's why it's so special.
Look, I'm going to say this. I'm just a naturally pro offense guy. I love high scoring football games, basketball games where they're just shooting a million 3-pointers and hitting all of them. So if it has anything to do with increasing offensive output, I am here for it. Give me this all day. I love the universal DH. I've never understood it. I understand your point, but I never understood it from a sense that you could get some crazy games going now that you got an extra hitter essentially. So I understand the sentiment, but I'm pro offense. Let's have a bunch of runs this year.
Yeah, I like it. And another thing too, this is something that came in on the Pat McAfee show earlier today. The Marlins, I believe, got more players tested positive for COVID, and including not only a couple players but a couple of coaches as well. I have the article up on ESPN or from ESPN. Major League Baseball postponed games for Monday night, not the Braves game, even though based on the score we might have wanted them to postpone this game. But the Miami Marlins game postponed, Baltimore Orioles, Philadelphia Phillies, and New York Yankees postponed as well. So now they have as much as, I believe, 13 COVID-19 cases. So the worry this morning on his show was, is this going to ruin everyone else's ideas? Because, see, the NHL has a bubble. The NBA has a bubble. The MLS, I believe, has a bubble as well. But the MLB said, you know what, we're too strong. We have too strong of ties to our local markets. We cannot afford to have a bubble in only Arizona or a bubble in only Florida. And a lot of players didn't like it. They wanted to be next to their families more often, more frequently than the 5 months in a bubble stuck in one area. And so they decided to basically have 30-plus bubbles in each of the hometowns of those teams. And now we've got the Marlins, who they believe contracted it possibly when they were in Atlanta during spring training. So the word is now it could be in Atlanta, but I haven't heard anything from Atlanta players being caught with this. But then they went on to Philadelphia, and so it's caused some problems there. That goes into, man, if the MLB screws this up, because they automatically, fake Sports Center on Twitter said MLB cancels season, which obviously was a complete lie. But how many people took that and ran with it? I mean, there were probably thousands of people that said, oh, look, MLB's closed. We were all morons for thinking that we could get through a sports season. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that if MLB fails, let's say if they do fail, will that ruin the NFL and college football? Let's say obviously we're seeing that games are still being played. So is this a situation where you just adapt and overcome? Hey, guess what? You guys contracted. You guys got 2 weeks. Unfortunately, that's 2 games canceled, or 2 games that's going to need to be made up later on in the year. What is your thoughts on that, Al?
Well, I got to tell you, I don't think it's the end all be all if MLB fails. I think the MLB, the NFL, they can survive this kind of stuff. They have billions of dollars. Okay, it's not. Look, everybody wants to talk about we're losing revenue. Yeah, and that's fine. But it's the college towns that are going to get hit if we don't have college football. I think that's going to be huge, not only for the team, the schools, the cities, all the businesses around. It's a much bigger deal to these people, and I think I think they're going to do everything they can to make this happen, adapt and overcome, like you mentioned, in college football. I think they're going to do the best they can because I think they know how many people are counting on it.
I 100% agree, and I don't think this is the end all be all, and I don't think that this is something that they're going to have a knee-jerk reaction to. You had 14 players test positive, and that's bad. We agree that's bad, but you look at college football, you have several teams that have had 40-plus athletes amongst the players that have come back that's positive, and they've been able to adapt, go through their protocols, and now it seems to have gone through a lot of college football programs. I think you might see similar instances in the Major League Baseball. Clubhouses may get a couple of cases, whether that's 8, 12, 14 cases, and then the numbers tend to go down. That's why they have 30 players waiting on their taxi teams to come up. They may not be the best players. You may have to take some lumps if you have some cases come into your clubhouse with some of these younger guys. But they made this possible, and they're going to be very fluid with their schedule. It sounds like the Marlins are going to be playing their entire series with the Orioles now in Baltimore rather than going to Miami and letting the players that test negative drive and bus down from Philly to Baltimore. And so as long as these players test negative and keep going, it's just something that you're just going to have to keep going forward. Everybody will get through it.
Got a commenter over on my Facebook watch party saying, is that a Greenville Braves hat, Houston? Yes, it is, if you guys are concerned about that. Where'd you get that hat, by the way?
So this was a gift from my wife one Christmas. There was this random company in Greenville that started selling hats. I've had this for probably like 3 or 4 years now, where they were selling Greenville Braves hats before it was cool. You can get them at some of the sports shops in downtown Greenville now, but this is before it was available. So me and a buddy of mine, our wives got us this for Christmas, and we were like, Greenville Braves, baby. Love it.
I believe Chipper played a little bit in the Greenville Braves in his time, and a couple of other big-time Atlanta Braves future stars went through Greenville before they switched over to Boston, which, I can't really support them anymore because of Boston. I mean, I would support Greenville Drive in general, but, I do understand that they are a feeder into Boston. So, it's only so much love there now. Not like it used to be when I was younger. But did want to tell you, again, call-in hotline, Charleston Sports Pub of Clemson, call-in hotline, 864-772-6674. Again, you see Mr. Taj Boyd there. He's been to the restaurant. Alan and I have been to the restaurant as well. Go check it out, Charleston Sports Pub. We actually did a show from there, Al. Do you remember that? It seems like forever since we did a show there.
A lot of fun, though. I mean, it went by pretty fast.
We had what was it? T. Higgins did a signing day there.
Yep.
A lot of Clemson fans came out, got to shake hands and kiss babies. Well, T did. We just did a show there. We did like a 2-hour special from there. So thank you so much to Perry Freeman for letting us be a part of that event and doing a show from there, a special 2-hour show from the Charleston Sports Pub. We'd like to go by and check out and do a show from the Clemson location. But, again, they have a Clemson location. They have a Greenville location. Then they have – Al, how many locations do they have down on the coast? I mean, that's where they started. That's where you get the name from.
He's got at least 4, if not 5.
Yeah. So they got a ton of locations out there. So, again, thank you so much, Charleston Sports Pub, for supporting us as well. And wanted to tell you about our second segment sponsor, which we really don't have segments anymore. I should stop saying that, but that's Tiger Sports Shop, tigersportshop.com, or tigersports.com rather. You see it on the screen there. Tiger Sports, we don't just dress for success, we TS for success. And let me have us on the screen when I'm saying this here. Trying out some new buttons here, but as you can see, I have a Clemson Columbia jacket, or a polo shirt on, and very comfortable. It may look a little different since you probably started watching the show. If you've been a fan for quite some time, the shirt is not getting bigger. I am actually disappearing. Parts of me are shrinking, and I am actually, Al, 172 pounds today, my man. 32 pounds down since I started back at Weight Watchers back in April 27th. So, my shirt may look a little baggier, but believe me, it's not the shirt. And it fits wonderfully. It probably actually fits a little bit better now. Al, am I beating you now in the weight loss challenge? I mean, I know you weren't part of it, but
I guess it depends on what you mean. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you're lighter than I am, my friend. I think I'm somewhere between 175, 180, something like that. So you definitely got me beat there.
Between 175 and 180, that's too much of a range there. Go get on the scale real quick. Come back. Don't talk to us till you come back.
We actually just took the battery out of our scale, so that's probably not going to work out real well.
You got to do what you got to do when you need batteries for the remote, right, Houston?
Exactly.
Exactly.
But again, thanks so much for Sean and Julie. I'll bring it up again. Tigersports.com. They have 2 locations, one in downtown Clemson and then one on Tiger Boulevard. You can go to either one. Audrey and I were just talking about this. We go to Tiger Sports Shop the Saturday before, a week before the season starts, and go get all of our new Clemson gear. And, we got to do it this year, even though this is still up in the air. But got to do it this year. I'm looking forward to the games that may be played. I'm kind of excited about games that may be played as far as conference games that may be played. And again, Houston, not to interrupt myself, but got people over on YouTube as well giving you props to the Greenville Braves hat. So very, very popular choice tonight, sir. Again, thanks for gracing the show with that wonderful hat. But going into, and let me pull up our second sponsor screen here. There we go. We have a beautiful second sponsor screen now. So going into what we were talking about earlier, with the season being different, with the worries of, will the season be played or not? We have taken the approach of positivity here on the show. We are going to say that the season will be played, but there are going to be some obstacles. One of those obstacles coming out of, what are the fans going to do? And I think if you look at it now, we originally got asked this question like 2 months ago, which is crazy to think we're still kind of in the same spot, or maybe even in more of a worse spot, because the numbers kind of went back up, jumped on us. But we're being asked these questions. What do you think the fans are going to do? What do you think IPTAY is going to do? And they did send out a survey to current IPTAY members and ask them questions about what they would do. Overwhelmingly, most fans said they wouldn't prefer, they'd prefer having no fans over playing in the spring, which I kind of would agree with. Just pipe some music in there and let's go for it. I don't want to wait. And then that would screw everything else up. And then you'd lose the potential of seeing Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne, because they're gone, baby. They're gone if that happens. I would not be playing in the spring knowing that I need to get drafted for the NFL. So I don't think that's a good idea. But Texas, the University of Texas came out and said they were looking at a model of 50% fans. So they're going to have 100,000, or I think about 90,000. They're going to cut that down to around 45, 50,000. Now Clemson, obviously with 82. You're looking at like 40,000 there. I don't know exactly how they would do that. I know the Houston Texans, the professional NFL team, was saying that they were not going to allow any fan to sit with in the first 7 rows. So we're going to be at least 7 rows back. And then, kind of like, I don't know if you go to any church services right now, but the church services that I go to are basically like every other pew. I can imagine that kind of situation where it's every other pew, maybe every other seat. At least you're not sitting, shoulder to shoulder to each other like you're in, like a Cessna 172, going down the runway. But what do you think about that? Half the stadium, and do you think if it's only half the stadium or half the capacity, then is it only season ticket holders? Then like StubHub fans are left out on the cold?
Yeah, I think pretty much that's kind of the way it's going to have to go to season ticket holders. I don't think they're really going to have much choice. And honestly, I think 50% is pretty optimistic. If they're wanting to do their social distancing, they took this survey. Clemson fans said, hey, they're more than happy to social distance. They'd rather have football in the fall. But if you're going to properly social distance, half capacity is not going to do it if you're going by CDC guidelines. So I think you're looking at something more like maybe 25%, something to that effect. And yeah, I think you'd have to go strictly to season ticket holders. You gotta have those people, in your back pocket, no doubt about it. You got to keep them happy. So it's gonna be rough. I mean, look, there's not a good solution. There's not going to be a good solution, and somebody's going to be mad regardless of what decision they make. So hey, as long as we got college football, if I need to suck it up and watch it at the house, then that's what I'll do. But I'm not going to be happy about it. But I'm going to be less happy if we don't have Clemson football.
I agree. One thing I was thinking about is, let's just say we progress and things get better, or let's say a vaccine happens. There may be some optimism for that in October from some people. I don't know, on November. What if it's a tiered approach? What if the season starts out and you're starting out in somewhere between the 10 to 25% range? Things are progressing fine and you're going good. So you get midway through the season, you maybe up that to 50%. And by the end of the year, if things are going really well and there are treatments, everything's going well, and numbers are continually going low, do you move up to 75 to 100%? That's pie in the sky. I don't know. I could honestly see this being maxed out at 25% for the entire year. But then again, I don't know. I'm not I'm not a fortune teller here. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think that it's important to have fans because it is tough. It's tough to watch these baseball games with no fans. It'd be nice if baseball would do something like that where they kind of, said, hey, first 7 rows, clear it out, spread it out. Everybody wear masks, obviously. People originally were kind of, and including myself, against the mask. And I'll be honest with you, have I wore the mask everywhere I go? No, I haven't. Is it uncomfortable sometimes to go out and it's 93 degrees outside and a mask on? Yes, it is. Do I think that it works the way that, a lot of people claim it works? I don't know. But I'll tell you this. If you cough around me, you better have a mask on. Okay? So if I go to a grocery store and I got a mask on and you're over here hacking up something and you don't have a mask on, I'm freaking out. Originally, no, I wasn't. But now I'm like, get back. All right, get back. All right, because one thing I found out is that a lot of people are losing taste. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you heard this, but I do not want to lose taste because food is good, even though I don't eat as much as I used to. I got to taste that food, man. And that would be very, very bad. A lot of I have some friends that have actually gotten it, said they feel normal, but they can't taste anything. Mm-hmm. And that's so it's just interesting, weird to me. But again, I know there's a big argument between, this is my constitutional right and all this stuff. I'm an Army veteran, and I got my own opinions about that and what people like to talk about with their freedoms and things like that. Might not be the most popular opinion for sure, but I think people pick and choose certain things they like to, keep their freedoms, but then won't do certain things, to defend their freedom or want to serve their country or whatever. But I digress. I'm not going to go down that path. But what I will say is that it is definitely a challenge for teams like Clemson. But it's good that we've seen the Major League Baseball will see this happen and kind of adapt and overcome, as we said earlier. If they did just panic and say, oh, no, it's over, we're done, that would then cause a big problem. I'd be interested to see what the NFL does. But again, Houston, we're talking about they contracted these things in spring training or in now summer training or early fall camp or whatever it may be, or just returning to campus. The biggest issue is what happens in the college football season. Let's say they have 14 days. Well, if they don't have a bye week or an open date, then you're talking 2 games missed there. Well, in college football, you're going to really make up 2 games. And here's another question I wanted to ask you guys too. They decided to defer the postseason talks as well. For me, I can see, we always picked on there being way too many bowl games. This might be the year that they actually do get rid of those way too many bowl games.
Yeah, I would say that's going to happen. I would say you're not going to have as many bowl games this year. Like you're not going to have the Bojangles Carburetor Bowl or the Roast Beef Tech Bowl or whatever you want to call it. You're not going to have those this year. You'll probably have the playoff, the New Year's Six, and maybe a handful like the Gator Bowl or the Belt Bowl. Some that actually bring in revenue with some bigger teams. And then maybe a handful for your conference champions of the group of 5. And with baseball, you look at what they're doing with the Marlins. If they're able to successfully play a series in Baltimore with their backups and with whoever's tested negative, you may see some of that give and take this year with the college football schedule. Look, if you're not able to have fans, or if you're not only able to have like 10,000 fans, or something like that, you may see some give and take with the schedule or the dates or rescheduling games during the year. I think that's the way that they're setting that up this year. And the other part of it is you're trying to keep things, from what I understand, more regionalized. So it wouldn't surprise me if the ACC changes to a 10-game schedule plus South Carolina, or even does a 10-game schedule plus South Carolina and maybe an FCS for like the Citadel. And that way you're playing, instead of Boston College or Syracuse, you're playing an extra game with like Duke, North Carolina, Miami. you're able to keep Notre Dame. It's like that one trip that you have to go up north for.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think we talked about this a little bit, last night when we were doing our test. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted. I'm over here on the Facebook comments, and Bill, our super fan Bill from Four Paws, he commented on it. Said he's enjoyed my commitment issues articles on southlandclub.com, and I'm asking him, guys. You remember we had this conversation last night about Nosmal C. Okay. I'm asking if he is Nosmal C. He has not responded yet, and I'm really hoping we can find out if that mystery can come to a close tonight. And I do want to go ahead and mention, by the way, while we're talking about
some things are
Southland
good
Club,
left as a mystery, Al.
No, I got to know this. It keeps me awake at night. I do want to tell you all, though, southlandclub.com, Morgan, okay, our wonderful show host here, just put a live chat feature on the website, okay? So I want you guys to remember that come Clemson football time, okay? When it's time for a Clemson football game to go live, get in there and chat. You don't have to sit there and refresh like you do on every other message board, okay? And have to keep hitting that F5 key or whatever key it is to keep kind of getting the page refreshed and see the new comments. We have a live chat, something that separates us from the other sites. And again, we got some more stuff coming up I think you're going to be really excited about. So I want to kind of give that plug for our website as well. And we have confirmation Bill Lanham is Nosmal C, or as we found out last night, as I imparted wisdom on you guys, that is Clemson spelled backwards. It only took us a few months to figure it out, Bill. We're pretty sharp over here at the Morgan Thomas Show.
I thought he was like the most interesting man. I thought that was some sort of Spanish name or something, some sort of Latin, indication of a tiger or something, or stripes or something. I thought that was the most interesting man in the world for sure. Not saying I'm disappointed, but pretty surprised.
He said it's pronounced Nosmilk, by the way. Okay. He capitalized the C at the end, so I thought, it was a name at first. That's why I kept calling it Nosmal C. And I was like, man, what is going on here? So it's Nosmilk, by the way.
And you're never going to know what we're talking about unless you go to southlandclub.com. It's our website that we started up. You can check out articles outside of the Morgan Thomas Show Monday nights. We talk about all things over on the website. We have a live chat. We have a forum. And we have articles that we like to post up. I'm trying to get back into it. Alan keeps pulling my arm, trying to get me to write some articles. I have like infinite writer's block. I can talk for hours about literally nothing, but writing it down on a piece of paper is a huge obstacle for me. So pray for me as I go through this as well. But we're going into the last segment of the show, and I wanted to tell you, again, we have open phone lines. Call-in hotline 864-772-6674. That's the Charleston Sports Pub of Clemson hotline. Now that you see there, they have some famous visitors of Taj Boyd there, one of the best quarterbacks to come to Clemson for sure. So we appreciate him and him going to Charleston Sports Pub and checking it out. Alan and I have been there for a special show and had some grub there and was great. So go check out Charleston Sports Pub, Clemson and Greenville, and then down on the coast as well. But call into our hotline. This is the last segment. If you want to get in, 864-772-6674. Don't be shy. Hey, let me tell you about something. For 33 years, I was afraid to do a backflip in the pool. And if you're my Facebook fan or friend, you saw this video of me doing a backflip into a pool for the first time ever after 33 years. Okay? And guess who taught me? A 12-year-old on YouTube. All right? So I watched him on YouTube do it, and I thought, man, this kid, this little scrawny kid that's like 3 feet tall can do it. Sure, a big old boy like me can do it if I just give it a shot. And I was successful. So, again, don't be scared. Call in. 864-772-6674. We'd love to have you on the show. And we give you priority, too. So we shut up. We stop talking. We stop the show on a dime to bring on your call. That's how important you are to us. If that doesn't mean important, I don't know what is. But, Al, tell us about our third sponsor of the night and our last sponsor of the night.
I would be happy to do so. Our last sponsor, our segment 3, quote unquote sponsor, is Heating Cooling Services, Inc. They are family owned and operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding areas since 1980. Heating Cooling Services, Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventative maintenance of your home HVAC system to overhauling a commercial chiller or anything in between. If you want to breathe easier and be nice and cool in your home or business this summer, give Heating Cooling Services, Inc. a call. You're going to want to get in touch with Mark or Jason Trammell, and their number is 864-224-7655. Again, that phone number is 864-224-7655. They will take good care of you, man. I cannot tell you how much I thank the Lord for them every day, because they have fixed my AC, and every day I go outside, it is instant sweat. Okay, and I come back in here, it's like Antarctica. Okay, they did good work for me. It is great, and I really appreciate them, because we've had a lot of trouble with our AC since we got in here. They touched it. It's been a miracle ever since. So you want to call Jason and Mark at Heating Cooling Services, Inc. They will take care of it.
Appreciate that, Big Al. Appreciate that, sir. Al, got a few people over on YouTube talking about Peyton Page coming up next, or really tomorrow, right? So tomorrow afternoon, Peyton Page is going to announce whether or not he is going to be a Clemson Tiger, or some people are saying in chat that he's going to be joining the North Carolina Tar Heels. First thought, reaction to that question. I know we answered it earlier, but just to answer it again for later in the show, what are your thoughts about tomorrow? Good feelings, bad feelings, indifferent? I know that a lot of non-Clemson fans out there are saying, guess what? You got a string of bad luck coming to you, and it's just going to keep coming.
Right, and as I mentioned earlier, that ends tomorrow. I hate to tell all the North Carolina fans that, because they've got their hopes up so much. Mack Brown is doing a great job recruiting for them. They really are. But when Clemson wants a top prospect in North Carolina, they've really been able to get them. And I don't think this is going to be any different. You know, I'm sure they're all like, oh, you big homer, you know, they like to call us that, whatever. I'm telling you, when at 6 o'clock tomorrow, when he announces for Clemson, I want y'all to know, you heard it here first, that he's coming to Clemson. I just have that good feeling. I mean, they get those top prospects that they want. It's just kind of the way it goes right now. And look, we have had a bad turn in recruiting, but I don't think it's the end all be all. Page has been Clemson's target for quite some time. And I don't have any inside information or anything like that. I just think he's all Clemson.
Yeah, the main thing that I say is Todd Bates his primary recruiter? Yeah. And when Todd Bates is on the case, we get our guy.
Yeah.
I hate to break it to you UNC fans. You don't have Todd Bates. We do. And that generally means we're going to get top D-line talent. Sorry.
Hey, I mean, you got a lot of right to be confident for sure, especially talking about defensive linemen at Clemson or coming to Clemson. Mm-hmm. Not only have they had great luck, but they've had great success in developing those players into some of the best players in the nation at the professional level. Talking about that, this is one-off. I just wrote an article over on southlandclub.com kind of peeking into Clemson's best, and Clemson highlighted some of their Sunday best, and DJ Reader was on the list. Now, DJ Reader recently was with the Texans, and now I believe he's on the Bengals. And, he was ranked as one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL. Or no, excuse me, I'm talking about Grady Jarrett. Grady Jarrett, I said DJ Reader, but Grady Jarrett was transferred to the Bengals, was traded to the Bengals, and he was ranked as the 91st overall player in the NFL. Now, a lot of Clemson players and a lot of Falcons. I'm all over the place here. He's with the Falcons. DJ Reader is with the Bengals.
Yes,
let me start that over.
Correct.
So Grady Jarrett with the Falcons ranked 91st. I can cut all this out in the podcast.
That's right.
So Grady Jarrett with the Falcons, 91st overall in the NFL. A lot of Falcons fans and Tiger fans saying that's not enough, that he should have been higher up on the list. There's not 90 players better than Grady Jarrett. And he's one of those guys that a defensive tackle that came from Clemson that, kind of people picked on about, oh, well, he's undersized, and he fell to like the 5th round. And he's just been absolutely dominant since he's been in the NFL. and I believe he made the Pro Bowl last year. So what are your thoughts on that, Alan? Do you think was that right to have him in there? I mean, I think 91, I know a lot of Clemson Falcons fans saying got to be higher than that. But, I mean, 100 players in the entire NFL for just the 2020 season, like heading into the 2020 season. Even though that's 91, even though people are like, oh, that's low on the list, that's actually really good.
Yeah, it is really good. That's a huge compliment. By the way, speaking of not compliments, Al Kuhn is getting in on the comment line and telling you that backflip must have caused some damage, he thinks. All right. He does play with the Falcons. We know Grady Jarrett plays with the Falcons, and he's been dominating with the Falcons for quite some time. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think the fact that, he came into Clemson, I think he was a 2-star. Everybody wanted to call him a bowling ball. He's a real strong guy, but he did not have the length. He did not have, the physical stature to warrant a high-star billing, and he just came in and proved everybody wrong, and he's doing the exact same thing in the NFL, and not a lot of guys can do that when you don't have the physical tools, you don't have the length, you don't have the size, and he just gets in there, he's got the motor, he's strong as an ox, and he just dominates, and it's a great deal. And, yeah, I think there's certainly an argument to be made for him being higher than that, but again, 91 out of all the players in the NFL, that's great, and I'll take it. I'll move on and say thank you, and glad that he represents the Tigers.
I agree. I think that he falls in right in line. I think maybe a little higher, but I think he's kind of in that mid-tier or mid to upper-tier defensive tackle range where he can be definitely a game maker. May not be in the same range as like Aaron Donald or Ndamukong Suh, but at the same time, if I'm a Panthers fan, I want Grady Jarrett. I would love to have him on my team because he's consistent. He's consistently good. I mean, we all remember what he did in the Super Bowl against the Patriots. He did everything but basically, win the game. Would he have 3 or 4 sacks that game? That's incredible. So 91 is great. I think he could have been a little higher, but great representation of the Tigers overall. I think Grady Jarrett's just going to have a great year. Football season rolls around.
And Grady Jarrett, 2019, 69 total tackles. 7.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles over 16 games. Pretty good stats there. Again, like I said, 91, not a disrespectful number for sure, especially when you look at all the love that probably going to get for offensive players. It's nice to see a defensive tackle in there. And then talking about another defensive tackle, the one I got kind of twisted on here, apologize in retrospect, DJ Reader, originally with the Houston Texans, is now with the Cincinnati Bengals. I should just read my notes when I'm actually talking about things that I've written notes on instead of just trying to wing it. But he's with the Cincinnati Bengals and going to join Geno Atkins, who is, been dominant for many years, 8-time Pro Bowler. Can you just imagine if you're a quarterback and you're about to hike the ball and you see Atkins here, Reader here? Now, Reader was another guy that people were like, oh, he's too small. He's undersized. He may not be able to do it. Now, I remember seeing him many years chase down faster players like it was nothing. I mean, he was like 3 times bigger than some of these running backs, chasing them down and beating them to the sideline. And that's when I was like, man, this DJ Reader guy is a monster. Well, he had 52 tackles and 2.5 sacks for the Texans last year. Signed a 4-year, $52 million. Big man getting some money. Also, I believe Grady Jarrett got money 2 years ago, $68 million. What do you guys think about DJ Reader? Do you think that obviously now the Cincinnati Bengals, look at it. They got T. Higgins on the offensive side of the ball with Joe Burrow, who, hey, got to give him credit. And he's going to have a lot of weapons. A.J. Green, I believe, is back. So he's going to have a lot of weapons to throw to on the offensive side of the ball. DJ Reader, Geno Atkins on the defensive side of the ball. The Cincinnati Bengals team looks pretty legit with these 2 Clemson additions going into this season.
Yeah, anytime you see Clemson players on NFL rosters, that's a good thing, and that's something that can help you recruiting, even when you got a bunch of negative things kind of coming your way from all different angles. I think that's a very good deal. I'm going to have to defer to the expert Houston here on the somebody that watches the Cincinnati Bengals a lot more than I probably do.
Well, I'll say this for DJ Reader. You think about how he came along, and I don't even think he was probably one of the most. He wasn't like an unsung hero or something like that. He was on a defensive line with Vic Beasley, Grady Jarrett, Deshaun Williams, Corey Crawford, all these guys. So he wasn't really the first name that jumped off the page. So to see him develop the way that he has in the NFL speaks to the system that Clemson has in place. Like you said, Alec, when you have some recruits like, I don't know, Peyton Page out there, and you say, hey, we were able to take DJ Reader and develop him into an absolute monster pass rusher. And he's got money with the Cincinnati Bengals, which, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not sure if Deshaun Williams is still with the Bengals or not. I know he was in the league for a while with them, but that's another player. No one really talked about Deshaun Williams, and he was in the league for a good little while. So, that just speaks to the development of what the Tigers have been able to do on the defensive line.
I have a list of players that are on NFL rosters right now because I was going through it, and I don't remember seeing Williams there. They do have a Williams and Mike Williams, but I don't see a Clemson player. I don't see him there anymore.
He may not be on there anymore.
So
I know
Albert
he was with
Huggins
the Bengals for a little while.
Yeah. So, but I mean, again, and then transitioning over to another guy that Clemson looked at, which was Mike Williams. Now, here's a question: no longer has Phillip Rivers, after 35 years of being the quarterback, no longer has him there. Mike Williams has, consistently gotten better in receiving yards every year. Now, he did drop drastically in touchdowns last year, from 10 the year before, then last year 2. But past the 1,000-yard receiving mark at 1,001 yards, which, hey, overachiever, baby. Do you think that he's going to be better off with a guy like Tyrod Taylor or their, 6th overall pick, Justin Herbert, who I think most people assume is going to, take over? Do you think he's going to be better off with a guy like Herbert throwing to him other than a guy like Rivers who, has had issues throwing the deep ball? He's not really got the strongest arm in the world. Very consistent guy, great quarterback, no shade there, but could help with Mike Williams as far as deep ball threat, things like that.
Yeah, again, this is probably a better question for Houston, but off the cuff, I'm going to tell you, I don't know that it's really going to matter that much who their quarterback is. I mean, the deep ball, it's not like Mike Williams outruns a bunch of people and gets 5 yards ahead of the DB.
Right.
I mean, he's a guy that stays with the DB and jumps over him and catch it just like he did in the national championship game. So I don't know that having different quarterbacks is really going to matter, to be honest with you.
I would say I'm always going to go – well, I won't say always. In this case, I'm going to go with a veteran. Tyrod Taylor has been consistent in the league. He's not going to be the guy that's going to go win you the Super Bowl, but he's not this quarterback that's just going to go out there and throw 10 million interceptions like Nathan Peterman all the time. No, he's a very solid, consistent quarterback where you know what you're going to get, and he's going to stay within the offense. I think that's going to be good for Mike Williams. Justin Herbert, I've never been really impressed with. I'm being honest. I know he's very good. I've never been really impressed with him as a prospect for the pros. And I could be wrong. He could throw for 1 million yards and win 5 Super Bowls. And I can be an idiot. But
Don't backtrack now. You said Justin Herbert was garbage. I heard it.
I know,
Alan loved him.
Whoa.
Alan loved him all year, and now you are saying that he is garbage.
I'm not buying the hype on
You
Justin
said
Herbert.
Justin Herbert might as well be bagging groceries at Publix. That's what you said. I heard it.
Exactly.
He wants you to come up on the comments at YouTube.
Yeah. So, but I think what's more likely for Mike Williams is after his rookie contract runs out here, in which would probably be pretty soon, I'd be curious to see if he sticks around in L.A. You see that your veteran quarterback is gone. It seems like there's going to be some transition on offense. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up going to a place that has some ties with some of his former teammates, whether that be Las Vegas, Houston, or Atlanta. Maybe not Atlanta since they've already got a primary weapon in Julio Jones, but you're talking about the Texans who have no wide receivers now, and they've got an all-star quarterback you're trying to keep in Texas. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he heads that direction, or he goes the John Gruden route where John Gruden is trying to build a Clemson team in Las Vegas. He could end up there too. So I don't know. Maybe he has 1 million touchdowns for LA this year. Maybe Tyrod Taylor is the savior, or maybe Justin Herbert is a great quarterback, but I still think he has a solid year, regardless who the quarterback is. and then maybe once his contract's up, ends up going to another team.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, it's not for long, for sure. Not for long with the team and not for long in the league. Before we go, you've had almost 10 more extra minutes of the Morgan Thomas Show. I hope you enjoyed that. But before we go, I wanted to talk about Kevon Moore, some basketball news. We love to talk about basketball. Don't necessarily like to talk about basketball news in this sense, but there is a silver lining, I think, in this story. Kevon Moore recently transferred from Texas Tech to Clemson. He was injured at Texas Tech, had some problems, some disagreements with family and coaching philosophy there, as some news, behind the scenes. Not going to get into that, but basically has now decided to enter the transfer portal again. Didn't really saw a lot of time to start out with. Saw a lot of flashes of what could be to start out with in the season, if you guys remember last season. But later on in the season, his time continued to dwindle as Tevin Mack kind of got into his role and continued to flourish. Even though Tevin Mack was very streaky, Mack was definitely a more veteran player, a more experienced player, and I think in a lot of sense when you watched him on the court, play defense a little bit better. Now with two big-time, legitimate power forward type guys coming in, legitimate big-time guys coming in to fill in some holes that Clemson desperately needs in their big man area. Other than, their main big man is Amir Sims, and they lost Trey Jemison, and basically, Amir Sims is a guy who could spell as a small forward. Not really like a center like he plays, but you got two guys that are some of the best prospects or best recruits that Clemson has had in years coming in. Maybe the writing's on the wall for him. This happens with football all the time. Hey, maybe the writing's on the wall for you. I know you've already graduated. You already got your degree. Maybe it might be time to move on. Well, in this case, Kevon Moore does not have his degree. He doesn't have a degree from Texas Tech. He's still, this would be only his third season playing, and now he's going to transfer, and he might, be having to sit out an entire season this time because it's not because of an injury situation. Alan, first question is, do you think that this is going to hurt Clemson? He finished the season with 1.8 points per game. 1.8 points per game. And then the other thing is, do you think that it had to do with the fact that writing's on the wall?
Yeah. First of all, I don't think it's going to hurt Clemson. I don't want to bash the kid, or like you said, we saw some flashes of potential. He had great athleticism and he was quick, and that was fun to watch. But it was just flashes. He's wildly inconsistent. He didn't score many points. I think this is going to be a blessing in disguise for Clemson. I think our recruit Olivier Maxence Prosper is coming in, and like you mentioned, PJ Hall as well. But Prosper is going to come in, and I think he's more ready-made right now, coming out of high school, than Kevon was already. And Olivier Maxence Prosper has come out, and I think he's mentioned something to the effect of wanting to be a one and done. I think we've actually talked about that a little bit. I don't know that he's that developed. I don't know that he's that advanced. I don't know that that's going to happen. But hey, if he's that good already, great. But I like the confidence. I'm hoping he's going to come in and play well. But yeah, I don't think it hurts Clemson. I do think Kevon saw the writing on the wall. I think he understood what was coming in, the talent that was coming in, and that he might be riding the pine a little more than he wanted to.
I agree. I think he saw the writing on the wall more with Olivier Maxence Prosper. I think PJ Hall is going to be more or less similar to what Amir Sims is playing. I think he does that a lot in high school right now. I think what this does provide is an opportunity. I don't know if Brad Brownell and company are actively pursuing some more low post type players. I think that's where we're suffering a little bit. We're looking for a little bit more on the rebounding side. I think that's why you got PJ Hall and Prosper as well, to get boards. That's something that we've struggled with the last 3 years. Even when we were successful on our tournament run a few years ago, had some problems on the boards. So maybe that's something that we're doing and we're looking for as far as the transfer portal. I know that we seem to pull a little bit of a rabbit out of the hat a couple of times to get a senior that's looking to kind of finish out their career. So maybe that's somewhere that we look at this. But I think ultimately Kevon Moore, wished him well, but I think he saw the writing on the wall and he got out of there.
Well, Al, Houston. Al, what do we have over on Facebook? Do we have anything before we let the fine, young Clemson Tiger fans go for the night?
Well, I don't usually do this, but I am going to get in because we didn't mention this before, which I think we need to at least say a couple words about it. We got the news today that Brighton Constantine is giving up football. He's walking away from football. He has suffered ACL injury after ACL injury after ACL injury. It's just been rough since he's been in high school, I think he's had two maybe since he's been at Clemson. So he's decided to walk away from football, and I can't blame him one bit. I was really excited about Brighton. I thought he had some good speed, good athleticism for the position. Something I think Clemson has lacked there in a lot of ways in recent years. Not Isaiah Simmons, obviously, but he's a bit of a hybrid. But I thought Brighton had a really bright future here at Clemson if he could ever get rid of the injury bug, and he just hasn't been able to. So we want to wish him well in whatever he does. I think he's going to kind of stay in school and hang out and do stuff with the coaching staff and the Clemson football team. So we want to wish him well, and we appreciate him being a part of the team. But as far as that's concerned, let's looking at Facebook. We kind of got our regulars here that are still hanging with us. We got about 13 watching with us. So we want to thank you for all the support again, and we want you to check us out anywhere you can. Like the show, share the show, subscribe to it on YouTube, and check us out at southlandclub.com. Get in. We got a lot of good stuff going on there.
And the final question of the night over on YouTube is AJS again. If the ACC does the schedule by proximity, who do you think Clemson's opponents will be going into 2020? Well, schedule by proximity. What'd you say, Al?
Houston is ready for this. Look at him over there. He's all giddy.
All right, Houston, we'll let you go first, my friend.
But Houston,
if you haven't been to southlandclub.com, Houston already did like some sort of reverse analytics and stuff like that. He spent probably 3 hours at MIT running some tests.
Exactly. I exactly did that.
Yeah, it was some good. Houston, before you start, Morgan, I don't know when you want to get to this, if you want to do it now, if you want to wait, kind of lead us out the show with this, but don't forget your ring. All right? Don't forget to show them the ring and get that ad pushed out there for us.
I'll bring that up.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and talk about the schedule. So I was thinking about this. If you're doing proximity, I think the simple thing to do is you're taking out Boston College, you're taking out Syracuse, you're going to play a 10-game schedule. You're going to try to limit going up north. I think in that sense, you're going to keep the only northern game being Notre Dame. So you're going to add a game and replace two. So the game that you add is, I would say, a home game against Miami. And then your replacements for a home game in Syracuse and an away game with Boston College would be a home game with North Carolina and a road game at Duke. So what that does provide is you're playing three top-quality opponents plus the opponents in the Atlantic with Louisville and Florida State. Mm-hmm. Notre Dame would still be involved. You get the added aspect of playing UNC and Sam Howell at home this time, Miami with the Eric King at home, and then probably the most intriguing matchup of all is playing at Duke when their starting quarterback is Chase Bryce. That's what I think is going to end up happening. I think they're going to try to keep everything in relative proximity. I know there's going to be some problems with some schools like Boston College and Miami being way outliers, but I think that's what they're going to try to do this year is keep everybody close. And I think that works out better for Clemson. I think you get a better schedule. If you're able to go undefeated with that schedule, you're going to get a guaranteed number one seed in the playoff. And then I'd assume conferences like the SEC are going to do that, and you'll have our friends down in Columbia end up with a schedule with, say, Auburn and Alabama added in there instead of Coastal Carolina and East Carolina.
Well, I think it's a good idea that the ACC and the SEC are continuing talks and not just giving up like the Big Ten seem to just like say, hey, we're all going to get together, we're going to keep our conversations together, we're going to make a decision together, and then all of a sudden the Big Ten says, well, we're doing our own thing. I think that was a terrible move. But I think it's great that the ACC and the SEC are doing things together because those games at the end of the season could be moved a little bit further along because there's probably not going to be as many bowl games, I'm assuming. And so those rivalry games that are the last game of the season anyways can be moved around, I think, a little bit easier than most. And most of those rivalry games, if you look at Louisville, you look at Clemson and other teams, Georgia Tech, you've got rivalry games, Florida State, against teams that are from the SEC. So I think it's good that they keep their relationship going for sure. But then to end the show, I want to wrap up with a final plug here for the Clemson University ring plaque. I have one, and I enjoy it. I love it. I graduated from Clemson in 2018, so I got 2018 with my MBA. The Clemson University ring plaque is a handcrafted original molding of the ring face bezel of the iconic Clemson University class ring. They're molded out of a cold cast resin and are designed specifically to meet the exacting standards of the Clemson Alumni Association. Each purchase goes to help your alma mater. This sucker right here is 9.5, around a little bit more than 9.5 inches wide by a little bit more than 11 inches tall and about 3.5 pounds. And it can go on the wall. It's got a way to hang it up on the wall, and then I put it over here on my bookshelf with my Dabo Swinney signed football that Alan gave me when he got married. So, a great gift. And again, you can have it any year you want, and they even have a white gold as well. So they have yellow gold, which is what I got. I know Alan has as well. But you can get it in different colors as well. And if you're not a Clemson fan, let's say you're watching, they also have affiliations with the Citadel and Texas A&M, two other very iconic looking class rings as well, so you can go check them out. But if you want your Clemson ring, there's only about 2 or 3 weeks delivery time right now, even with everything going on, and you can go check it out. The description is in the link on this video, so go check it out, or on our YouTube videos, mostly all of those. The description will be there as well. But again, thank you so much. We're trying a new system, so I cannot play your favorite song tonight. I'm sorry, we won't go with a pick your song by committee or a fan pick song tonight. We're going to go with our normal outro as we finish the night. But again, for Alan, Houston, and myself, we appreciate the love and support as always on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on our podcast. Again, Tiger fans, we'll see you at the top of the hill.